Hello. I hope you're having a good day. Alrighty. This is going to be a little different, I guess, from my other ones, or videos, slideshows, whatever you want to call them. Public unions. Honestly, I cannot believe we are still having these debates. Honestly, the idea of having to debate it is kind of tedious. See, President Jimmy Carter outlawed public unions in the late 70s, which personally I find interesting since he is the one who created the Department of Uneducation. Uh, all these all these people up in Wisconsin, over here in Michigan, and throughout the country are getting all up in arms because these bureaucrats are unionized and they cannot be fired. So the governors and state legislatures are trying to chip away at this concrete wall. So they keep screaming and screaming about, well, you can't do this, we are a union, and yada yada yada. And looking into it, they're not even supposed to exist. And the reason being is quite simple. Alright? There are a number of different facets to this, but I'm just going to go at it as kind of like a full frontal assault. Alright. Here we have an organization that is representing people that are in charge of our daily lives. Alright? So if they decide to go on strike, they can hold the population hostage, in a sense. And by doing so, that can endanger the population. Of all the things Jimmy Carter did and didn't do, as to whether or not I think he should have ever held the post of the presidency, that's not really what I'm going to discuss. But what I do find important is he had the presence of mind to understand this. And we saw it a few years later with the air traffic controllers strike slash debacle. And President Reagan had to go and federalize them and send in National Guard units to operate our air traffic control systems, because they were essentially holding the public hostage. Other unions have this ability as well. Well, had this ability. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers would be one of them. Our world runs on electricity. And if the people in charge of maintaining the grid and basically ensuring that when you flip the switch in your house, the lights come on. Without that power, without operating all of the switch gear and the relay stations, the IBEW could essentially hold the country hostage. That is one of the few reasons as to why the IBEW has a no-strike clause in their contract and in their bylaws. You don't get that with AFL-CIO or SEIU or any of the numerous teachers unions. You don't get that. And in the realm of the teachers unions, it's even more damaging. For the simple fact of their actions will affect our children and their lives. They get one shot at a good education. One. And they are going to play around and use that as a bargaining chip. Oh yeah, that speaks wonders. Their integrity has got to have the volume of an ant. And anyone who's ever had to deal with the Secretary of State's office or the DMV, if you have to go and renew your license, or you need another copy of your birth certificate, and they decide to go on strike, now mind you, you need these things. I'm not going to get into whether or not it's right that you have to have these documents. It kind of reminds me of Gestapo tactics and show me your papers. Yeah, it just... Anyways, if they go on strike, you can be denied these very important documents, which you may need for employment, insurance purposes, being able to take care of your family. Public unions have the capacity to hold you hostage until they get what they want. That is why, and seemingly a moment of clarity, Jimmy Carter signed the bill making public unions illegal. Private unions were not touched at all. Their argument for collective bargaining is essentially null and void. Alright? So, when they go and start screaming about, well, we want this raise, we need all these extra benefits, one should ask, why do they have all of these benefits to begin with? They had the benefits because at one time they were expected to make no more than 75% of the income that they would have made in the private sector. And why is this? Because the government is a monopoly. They don't have to compete. They don't have to improve services. And their jobs are recession-proof. You're talking amazing job security, but as a trade-off, you take a lower wage, a lower salary. And to then entice people to go and work for the government, all of these additional benefits are stacked right on top. Do they need a union? They have the most secure form of employment one can imagine. and they want to scream and scream and scream and call for recall after recall, because finally, at some random shot in the dark moment, some politician finally decided to go and do something on behalf of the people. Now, let's be honest. They're most likely going and doing all this for their own personal gain in some way, shape, or form. We should not delude ourselves. Alright? These progressives act as though there is not a single progressive in the Republican Party. Newsflash, Bush Jr. was a progressive. He is not a conservative. We were under Bush Jr., we were essentially going in the same direction as we are under Obama. The difference is under Bush, we were jogging in that direction. Under Obama, we've strapped a Saturn V to our back and launched ourselves. But I digress. The problem I personally have with public unions is I have been in a union. I understand, at least in the one I was in, the internal politics, and I would have to imagine they are fairly similar, since most seem to be. Now, what are the goals of these public unions? Are they there to go and get these people raises? Well, they've already done that. Your average government employee now earns approximately $150,000 a year. Your teachers, some of them are, yes, they are underpaid. That is a problem. I'm not going to deny that. Not in the least. Having my mom as a teacher, I fully understand. I also understand that she had Blue Cross, Blue Shield, health insurance, life insurance. She got a deduction on her car insurance, homeowner's insurance. There are a lot of benefits for being in the teachers union. She brought home, this was in the early 90s, she brought home well over $60,000 a year. Now, why do I point that out? Well, as a elementary teacher, that's not too bad. Now, that was what she brought home. That's not including how much of her wages were taken out for taxes. That was what she brought home. Then we have all the additional benefits. In total, she was earning approximately $128,000 a year in the early 90s. And they have gotten pay increases since then. Just as an example. Now we have, for another example, someone over in your Secretary of State's office. They're making, well, most likely they are making more money than you are. And they're screaming because some politician who, for his own interest, has decided they don't need to get as much of your money as they want. I'm going to do another video here specifically on the concept of money. But this just really gets me. Public unions were outlawed in the late 70s, yet we still have them. Why? Because they are a huge support base for the political parties. Why would any politician damage that? Why would any politician put that in a little section of, well, maybe they'll help me, maybe they won't? The amount of bargaining power that they have is immense. I mean, ask yourself this: how many people lost their job as a result of the sequester? The cutting of the budget, which actually wasn't a cut. Spending still increased, but it didn't increase by as much as they wanted. They're still taking more of your money. Hell, it's not even your money. It's your children's money. It's your grandchildren's money that they haven't even earned yet. But they're throwing a fit because they didn't get the future money that they wanted. And what did they do? They tried to shut down the government, to essentially holding the country hostage. So how many people actually lost their job during this end of the world scenario of cutting the budget through the sequester that was going to have planes falling from the sky, people dying in their living rooms? How many people? One. One person got a layoff and walked away. Everyone else retained their job. You want to talk about job security? Oh, come on. Tell me one private company that offers that type of job security. I don't know of one. Why are we putting up with this? Why are we accepting this? These are the same people that go and hold all of us to a higher standard than they hold themselves. Why do they do this? Because they see themselves as being better than us. They look at us as serfs. We are nothing more than serfs for the masses. It's disgusting. It's illegal. And the very fact that we are still putting up with and arguing, specifically arguing and fighting with them, we are giving them what they want. We are acknowledging them. And by arguing in the sense of the mass population, as it was so eloquently put in the movie Gladiator, the mob. The mob is dumb enough to support them, to help them in their fight to steal their money. Private unions, whether I like them, not, it really doesn't matter. It's their choice to some extent for a company. Yeah. They don't like it when you say no. especially if you are a employee. I mean, right now, we here in Michigan, we have the teachers union still taking the money from a teacher who doesn't want to be in the union because they set an obscure deadline, which they, one, did not advertise, and two, they had implied that all you had to do was not renew. She thought they were going to be honest. She thought they were going to be decent human beings. Well, guess what? They're not. So they are stealing her money to go and support other criminals that they helped put into office to steal more of her money. This woman woke up. She didn't want to be a part of that. They decided, no. You didn't meet the arbitrary deadline that we set without your knowledge. So we're still going to take your money. These are the same people that are supporting and backing child molesters and rapists in our schools. They knew about this guy going and raping kids in the school. They said nothing. They knew about it. Then during the court case, they all wrote letters in support of this guy after he admitted to it. Oh no, he shouldn't lose his job. One of them even said, well, if he loses his job, that could affect the rest of us. This is their mentality. They don't care about you. They don't care about your kids. And these are the same people that send their kids to a private school. They want to sit back and suck every ounce of creativity and that spark for learning that all of our children have. And they do it with our blessing, because we will not stand up and call them on their crap. They do not work for a private institution. And they're unionized. We can't fire them. The guy who was just convicted of raping kids is still getting paid through this public union, which we are not allowed to disagree with. This is the danger of public unions. I mean, I could go on with this in the realm of CPS. Alright, these people get a bonus between $3,000 to $5,000 per child that they rip out of a loving home. Then their office gets, in some areas it's a whole lot higher, but over here it's $150,000 a year. Out over in San Diego, it's $225,000 a year per child. That their office gets from TANF funding. That stands for Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. Then the agency gets an additional $16,000 for pushing these kids through into the adoption process before any judgment is even made. That is a result of Bill Clinton. Yes, another progressive. He just isn't as far out there as his wife. Like, nowhere near. She's kind of scary. I mean, she even calls George Soros a close personal friend. I don't really know how I would feel about having a close personal friend who assisted Jew hunters during the Second World War for the Nazis. Oh yeah, her friend, Obama's friend, Pelosi's friend, Reed's friend. Yay! Swastikas all around. It makes me sick. And the people that support them go on strike to hold you hostage to take more of your money. This needs to stop. Public unions are illegal, immoral, and just downright corrupt. I guess I'm done with my rant now.